Hey, you guys, what's up? I want to talk about parental estrangement and my own experience and a couple of really poignant times throughout. I'll say this once and I'll say it again. In my home, my childhood home, my dad was the heart, or he kind of was willy nilly about parenting, and he said, "Do what you want, just don't tell your mom." And then my mom was, they used to call it heart and home. My dad was the heart, my mom was the home. And so my mom was a disciplinarian, and that's just the way it was. And so I never became particularly close with my mom. Um, we had different personalities and different ways, and all of the above. And so, anyways, um, I joined the military to leave my childhood home because I didn't really have direction. I had tried college and it didn't work. I didn't have that mindset. So joining the military allowed me the opportunity to leave home, not necessarily break up with my mom or disconnect, but to get out from under her roof, per se. And so throughout the years, I have reconnected and disconnected, and we've had some nasty falling outs, and there's times when I walk away and I'd say this, I just can't do this anymore. So we were in the military, my then husband and I, we had a daughter. He left for Korea. I went back home to be close to family. I was pregnant with my second daughter, had another falling out with my mom. I was close to my due date, and she worked at the hospital that I was going to deliver my second daughter at. And she wasn't an OB, she was on a different floor. And I said to my sisters, I do not want mom there when I have my second daughter. And so I went so far as to inform the staff that I wanted to have an alias on the board in case my mom walked through and saw my name. And so they respected my decision. I gave birth. My mom was not invited to the hospital. Um, I don't even know how long it was until we once again reconnected and she got to meet my second daughter. We reconnected. She was in my life for a time, and then of course there's numerous falling outs, and I decided to cut ties again and again and again. And every time we get together, I'd say, I just can't have this happening. And then it would happen, and I'd have to walk away. And then reconnected after I met my husband, reconnected with my mom, had a relationship for a while. Everything was fine and dandy. And then there was a falling out again. My husband knew the situation. I disconnected again. And I think the straw that broke the camel's back, per se, is I finally decide to be very clear about what was needed for us to move forward in our relationship. And the one thing I said is, if we're going to have a relationship and you have a concern about me, you talk to me directly. You don't talk to anyone else. And number two, I do not want to be involved. I am not going to solve problems between my sisters and I. If you have an issue with my sister, you talk to her. And so, anyways, that request was violated. And so I finally said, without trust, there is no relationship. And that was that. I'm not saying I'm perfect or I did things right or I handled everything in the correct manner. But I think when I was able to sit down and have a conversation with my mom where we both apologized to one another and I set very clear boundaries, I knew right then and there when those violations occurred that I could walk away knowing I had stated exactly what I needed to move forward. Did I do things right? Absolutely not. I think when you walk away from a parent, it's not an easy decision, especially if you're in a family like mine where my maternal grandmother would make sure to hit that one on the head every time I was around her. So it was not easy. I knew seeing my grandmother would bring forth certain questions and such. And so all I know is I had to do it for me. Um, am I perfect? Absolutely not. I think we all play a part in this situation. But I think the best thing someone can do if you have to cut ties with someone that raised you or you were in the same family with, have a conversation with that person and say, I've never felt comfortable because X, Y, Z. And you have to write it down, but most important, they have to be willing to listen. And if you put out your roadmap or you lie or you write down what you need in order to move forward, if that person can respect your requests and honor them, and if they're within reason, I mean, I'm not going to ask someone for $1 million to have a relationship with them, but if we can, if you can have a conversation with that person and say, in order for me to feel safe and want to continue to move forward in this relationship, this is what I need. And if they can respect that and honor that, and over time you can build trust, that's great. But if not, it's time to move on. So anyways, that's all I wanted to say is I know how you feel because I've been there. I currently do not have a relationship with my mom, and she knows why because we've talked about it, but I was very clear. Thing is, without trust, there is no relationship. And that's all I'm going to say about it. I'm not perfect, and neither is she. And is it repairable? I don't know. I've tried. So anyways, that's all I've got, and I'll be back.